the changes in SCA Rapier today. All right. Before we get started, I know there's a lot of rumors and stuff like that going out there. Does anyone want to let me know some of the crazier ones that we've heard so far?
That they're going to legalize Rapier Madu.
All I've heard is something about a waxwood experiment. A waxwood pull experiment.
Okay.
I can actually speak on that from society level.
Why don't you go ahead?
Okay.
As of last Thursday, the experiment is not live, but Arabella was expecting it should be live by the time we have Crown Tournament next week. So yes, there will be a waxwood experiment for Rapier.
And I assume that means attaching all of our usual stuff to those poles.
Yes, 3D printed or purchased tips.
Okay.
All right. Moving on for Rapier, I'm going to attach the new Marshall Rules Wiki into the chat right quick. And just so that this is where all of the information that I'm getting, and this is where you can find all of the information that is about to be current. And the reason why I say about to be current is because it doesn't go into effect until May 20th. And if I remember correctly, the BOD still hasn't voted on it. All right.
Okay.
And at society level, we are still finishing adding, updating it from all the commentary that was submitted.
Exactly. All right. So if everyone can click on that little link there, and I can navigate to the Marshall's Rules Wiki. All right. If you scroll down to that page, you should be able to see the Outlands. We are not clicking on the Outlands today. Why? Well, I am the one doing the updating for the wiki, and I am still in the process of doing all of that. So once I'm done, I'm going to push that out, and we can all start getting our information from that wiki. But we're going to go up to the upper left-hand corner. You're going to see the Society Marshall Handbooks. This is where you can find all of the stuff that's currently, well, in this situation, proposed. And we're going to scroll down to the Rapier Handbook. And everyone just give me a thumbs up when you're there. All right. So the first thing I'm going to orient you to is many of us are used to PDFs. Many of us like the PDFs. Guess what? There's a nice little download PDF button right there. And I'm actually going to go to that one because we're going to be working off the changelog today. And it'll be on page 121. All right, we're going to scroll down to 35.2, major changes. And the first one is that we're going to talk about, and I have a bara here, so that makes my life a lot easier, is the fact that Rapier and Cut and Thrust are now separate handbooks, or going to be separate handbooks. All right, Ibarra, since I have you here, do you want to touch on why Society decided to go to separate handbooks?
Actually, it's, ease of maintenance is our main bit. Everything you'll see in there that's repeated between Rapier and Cut and Thrust comes from a single source. So if we update it in one, it updates in both. And if we feel like we have to override it for Cut and Thrust, we can go in there and just update it specifically for Cut and Thrust. It's become a lot easier. This is something I think they've wanted to do, and now we get to do it because it's maintainable.
Excellent. I know not necessarily in the Outlands, but in many other kingdoms, there's become quite a bit of a Cut and Thrust, not society, but a Cut and Thrust community that is primarily Cut and Thrust. I know several in like Onstiora has a Cut and Thrust community that is primarily Cut and Thrust. I know in Ontier, there's a community that is primarily Cut and Thrust. And a lot of that is like, there was a lot of call to separate the two. So in addition to maintenance and all that good stuff, we do have communities that are solely out there doing just Cut and Thrust. Also, Light Rapier was removed. And as soon as that gets put in, and a lot of that big push there was the fact that it's just not really around. There's not a big community for it. It's another weapon everyone is maintaining. However, it is still being maintained for youth rapier combat. And I expect to see an update in the youth rules where they're going to move all of like the armor and the requirements and everything like that over there. On to number 3. So they took out all the footnotes and the glossary items and moved them into their individual sections. And then a big one, which I know we're going to see if this ends up passing, the society level requirements for marking minors with the yellow diamonds. As everybody knows in the society handbook, it was required to mark it on the helmet. And then here in the Outlands, we have additional options of like the gloves and stuff like that. So the biggest focus there is they didn't want us identifying our youth specifically in situations where you have people coming from the outside. And that makes sense. However, a lot of parents have been concerned about youth if they're not being exposed, if people don't know that they're fighting a youth fighter, going just a tad bit harder and calibration more than anything else on that youth fighter. So I, as the KRM, am either going to add it back in, and as of right now, I'm going to keep it for the optional places for the yellow diamond on Outlands youth fighters. So that will not be going away in the Outlands. All right, here's the big one. Electrical tape has been removed as an approved tape for securing the tip cover. So did everybody know in the last version or in previous versions of the society rulebook that electrical tape was not required to adhere the tape to the tip to the sword?
Yep, it was just the most common option I was aware of. Duct tape was the next most used.
No, the tip was not required to be adhered to the sword under society rules.
Huh.
I know, the silence is deafening. And the biggest thing is, back in the day, they wanted to see if the tip was blown through and make sure that everything was good underneath. So it was literally the idea of, I should be able to remove the tip, look at the tip of the sword, look at the blunt, and go, everything looks good. Yes, when I first heard that, it blew my mind also. And then, of course, in individual handbooks that got added that it has to adhere the tip to the sword. And a lot of places with higher humidity, they have issues with electrical tape. Now, after talking to the SCM, we're also going to see if this passes. And again, none of this is law yet. This is all recommended, put forth, and we'll see how it goes. But for the ongoing effort to reduce risks from lost tips during large melees and to support expansion of reduced armor, they are moving to cloth tape. I actually have the whole little bit right here. They're moving to cloth tape, and they are moving to fiber tapes, but they are not using paper tapes. All right. And then lastly, just like everything with a cut and thrust, all the handbooks are self-contained. One of the things that we're probably looking at going forward is with the wiki update that I'm doing for the Outlands, I will probably copy the society rule and then put the kingdom rule underneath it moving forward. Yes, Savara.
I just wanted to add a clarification since we have Christoph here. On Thursday, we did clarify that 3D printed tips are legal because that is considered a polymer tip.
Yep, non-shatter polymer tips, certain ounces of leather, and of course the traditional blunt. Yes, care to X-checker.
Okay. So real quick, just back to the fact that light rapier is still valid for youth rapier combat. Does that mean that we cannot do reduced armor for youth combat?
No, you cannot do reduced armor for youth combat.
Okay.
So current standards from the rapier field do apply, but obviously that improved torso still needs to be a thing for youth rapier.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that I was interpreting that right. Thank you.
Yep. Perfect. All right. What are your questions for me?
So less a question, but more of a comment. Something we've been finding down here is that cloth tape tends to wear a lot faster than the previous methods of adherence. One way we found to mitigate that is actually using some electrical tape, but wrapped around the fiber tape, leaving a little bit of the fiber tape visible so that you can see that it was used adhering to the tape.
And that is absolutely acceptable. And again, where the fiber tape is obviously for we got to think globally when we're thinking about stuff like that. And the fiber tape is mostly there for your high humid areas. I can take fiber tape on my tips to any, if I go fight in Ontier West or Gulf Wars or anything like that, and tend to have all right, as opposed to bringing my normal electrical tape and have the adhesive and the heat and the humidity degrade that. So that being the main focus. However, there is nothing stopping you as long as the fiber tape is what is adhering the tip to the sword. That's the important part. And even so, though, even more so, using electrical tape as a contrast color, even more acceptable. You just have to be able to prove that, in fact, fiber tape is what is adhering the tip to the sword. Yes.
I know I could probably ask this in my Thursday meetings, but have they discussed with the heat shrink tubing, the marine grade heat shrink tubing, since that is a heavy duty reinforced thing? But
yes, it is. From what I have gathered so far from talking to the SCM, the heat shrink tubing not only is acceptable, but is currently in use in several kingdoms.
okay. Since I had started switching over to that, so
yep.
I don't want to have to try and reheat and remove.
Oof. No, you do not.
I do marine grade adhesive backed heat shrink tubing.
Hell yeah.
So unless it breaks 200 degrees outside, it shouldn't get loose.
You say that, but I actually did inspect a tip just yesterday. They had the heat shrink tubing, and it just popped right off.
Oof. Well, not everybody, and that's the thing is, we're talking about learning curves right now, right? Like not everybody is well versed on all of these methods. So we're all learning. We're all learning together.
Yeah, it was strange. There were two blades that had the heat shrink tubing. One of them was fine, and the other one just basically slid off the point.
Well, that's a no-go. All right. Is everybody ready to move on to the cut and thrust handbook?
I am.
All right. You're going to go back to that initial web page. If you need to reopen it, I'll give you all just a minute. And then we're going to go scroll down on the left side to the cut and thrust handbook at the society level. We're going to move down to the change log. That's page 124. 124 on your PDF. So take a minute, pull up in the PDF, Rapier and Cut and Thrust. I really like the fact that they acknowledge that the sections are often same for both. However, this is, again, like Ibarra said, to support future modifications, as we're seeing more and more communities diverge away from Rapier-centric fencing. So, abrasion-resistant materials no longer required for limbs. Lots of feelings on this one.
You can armor up is the obvious answer.
You can armor up to your own comfort level.
I have done cut and thrust with no abrasion resistance on my arms and just the elbow padding. Yeah. As long as I'm fighting someone's sword that I trust, i.e. Servio's, I know I'm not going to get nicked or hurt, but yeah.
And this is where things like blade inspection is going to be more and more important. I think everybody here is a marshal. I'm 90% sure everybody here is a marshal. Yes, everybody here is a marshal. So I am pretty sure that all of you are going to do the due diligence of making sure we don't have any nicks, bumps, whatever on blades where this is going to be a problem. Not that I've ever had a piece of abrasion-resistant material stop my arm from getting sliced.
Or bruised.
Or bruised. All right, again, yellow diamond is being removed. I am going to add that back into the cut and thrust portion for the Outlands. As opposed to the rapier where I can just leave it, this one is one I'm going to have to add into the handbook, but I will be adding it as an optional for you. Make all those parents out there feel comfortable, whether or not they want to mark their youth. And again, going back to the electrical tape and self-contained handbooks. All right, and those are the changes that we're looking at society for rapier and cut and thrust. What are your questions?
I just want to call out my favorite change that's not under the major is that we now allow ranged weapons in cut and thrust melee.
Oh, do we?
Yes.
You said cut and thrust melee.
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Oh, no.
Cut and thrust melee is a thing, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Sure does.
Cut and thrust and shoot melee now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the pike and shot melee can be cut and thrust.
Honestly, I love everything about that.
I love everything about that. My poleaxe loves everything about that. Oh, wait.
Now I just need to... I really need to finish writing the experiment so you can do cuts with the poleaxe.
You will definitely be seeing me out there with Landsconnect booty shorts and a poleaxe.
It means I could wear my sallet with my walking around with the poleaxe, and it'll be within the place. It won't be out of place. I'll have to get up to character practice one of these days. I'm just committed to something on Thursday nights until May.
You're good.
I'm the same because of rules updates on Thursdays.
All right. Well, I do believe that is everything for me, unless we have any more questions, comments, concerns, thoughts.
Yeah, you've seen mine. I've just been able to print it with the fresh pin.
Nice.
So now there are two of these pins. There's one here, and there's one that goes across. And I've wiggled the tip around substantially. And while it looks like it's unseating from the threads, you can seat them right. You can seat it right back into the threading with no problem.
Hell yeah.
I just need to test whether or not the tip is too stiff for our liking or not.
Well, and if you need to borrow a 6-ounce weight, we can always do an inspection over if you're going to Crown, especially.
Yeah, I do have a 6-ounce weight. I should do that test myself. Part of my thinking was just quantifying going all sciencey and testing what do we consider a safe tip to be.
Oh, I would really appreciate anything you do on that, because we would love to be able to put that in an appendix.
Yep. Oh, and I should mention the way this poleaxe works. You don't need to do anything to your shaft. Maybe taper it just a little bit on the corners of the top of it, but you don't need to sharpen it at all.
Hell yeah. I love everything about that.
When do you think you will be able to start moving the full Outlands rules into the wiki?
Ooh, great question. Let's see here.
I'm going to assume probably not till well after we get this fully live.
The first things first is just from my conversation with the SCM. There are some things that may or may not end up on the chopping block. Just because we are all still dealing with community outreach in the way everyone feels about certain rules, specifically, and current information being put forth. So odds are I will probably begin touching on the things that those rules don't touch, but probably not until they are done finalizing what society is actually going to push out.
I would also ask if anyone here has any questions that the current rules as written you see up there are not clarified. If you reach out to me before the end of this month, we should hopefully get them fully clarified before this is sent to the bod for approval.
Commentary after the commentary period. I love everything about it.
Only because I know someone who's involved.
Oh, I know, right? All right. Well, I thank all of y'all for coming, and I think that's everything I've got. Y'all have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.